All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. Still a lot to get to discussing college football today. It's been a massive couple of days in the world of college football, and college football playoff did not disappoint in this last round. Maybe personally it did for some folks, but as far as excitement, quality of game, and maybe it just took until last night for people to be satisfied with that. Miami, Ohio State was a pretty good game. Oregon, Texas Tech, not a great game, as some of us here on the show discussed and tried to warn you of. Ole Miss, Georgia, 39-34. Ole Miss gets the win. They will advance. Oregon, 23-0 over Texas Tech. They get the win. They will advance. 24-14, Miami advances over Ohio State. And Indiana, 38-3, advances over Alabama. You have bowl games today. We've already discussed a couple of those. But first, I want to tell you about Game Day Men's Health before we get to your feedback. If you are feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, if you're lacking energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you feel better. And they can do that by you visiting GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for the free consultation today. You're going to get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. They're going to give you your baseline health and then present the different ways that they can get you feeling better, whether it's weight loss programs. Listen, coming off the holidays, a lot of us packed on those extra pounds, trying to get back in the gym. You got New Year's resolutions. Let Game Day Men's Health help you. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for that free consultation and see what they can do for you. Mention Mac and Cube. Save 10% on any service that they offer. Okay, 800-239-9569. We get to your feedback here on the show referencing Alabama's season in all of college football. Edward and Calera would like to chime in on the Crimson Tide. Welcome in, Edward.
Morning, guys. Happy New Year. I loved the 4 games yesterday, the format. I watch every game. I just took a break to take the dogs walk outside to get something to eat, but I loved it. I think Alabama exceeded expectations. At the end of last year, I thought Alabama would be a 9-3 team, and this year they win so many games. With the really great teams. They beat Georgia. And then they went to Oklahoma and win the spot in the playoffs. I thought that they exceeded my expectations. I mean, I'm so proud of them. I think they reached their potential. I think they have some weakness they need to address, the front line, the running back, creating space to run to get to the first and the second level. I think the defense played better at the end of the year, but I think Alabama did so much better. I'm so proud of them, and I think they took steps in the right direction. I just loved it.
Edward, appreciate the call. Appreciate being a little bit level-headed there. I did not expect much of that today. Tim in Birmingham would like to chime in on the Alabama season. Welcome in, Tim.
Thank you. Good morning, Greg, and great job on the broadcast last night. Greg, here's my question. As a quarterback of the 4 playoff games, 4 teams were behind at halftime. Which of the head coaches would you want to hear as a quarterback from one-on-one, and which of the 4 teams behind at halftime would you want to hear from the coaching staff on halftime adjustments and motivation?
It's a good question. As far as personalities, or who do I which coaching staffs do I trust the most with halftime adjustment?
Which one is going to give us to win?
I mean, well, in that scenario, ironically, the guy with by far the best track record when it comes to putting forth second half performance is Kirby Smart, and his team unfortunately lost a lead in the fourth quarter for the first time since 2018 last night. I think it's a little bit of a unique question. I think it's a fair one. I think it's a good one. I would say Kirby Smart, but it didn't work out because he was on the losing end, right?
Yes, but as a former star quarterback, and you have visited with all the coaching staffs, is there one personality that you think might be, quote, better if it were you?
Well, I think everybody's different. Every player's a little different. I'm sure there's a certain person that would really relate well to Pete Golding. And hey, man, I didn't expect to be here, but hey, I'm here, and let's go play for each other. Like, our guy left us. Like, I'm your guy now. Let's go do this together. I think that probably reaches a lot of players. I think Kurt Signetti's diabolical, robotic mantras reaches a lot of players. I played for Sig. Like, I know what Sig's all about. Like, he was our receiver coach for 4 years. I got to know Sig really well. And he was the guy that would signal in the plays to us when I was in school. So I already have a really close relationship with him and know how he operates. I think some guys want the super fiery Dan Lanning approach. But I thought Dan Lanning yesterday, it was way too aggressive at times with the fourth down calls. I didn't think it was his best day from a head coaching standpoint, but as far as getting guys to run through a wall, I think he probably does a pretty phenomenal job of that, based on some of the clips that have been put out. But I think it depends on the player. For me, I will admit, I don't listen a lot to what the coaches are saying from a, quote, motivational thing at halftime. Like, I'm focused on talking with my coordinator and how do we get things fixed in the second half? What are we starting with in the second half? I'm a little bit more methodical. So I guess to answer your question, it'd probably be Signetti, because I know what his message likely was at halftime yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think his needed to be one that was exuberant either. They're in a pretty good spot. So I think it depends on the situation you're in, and like you said, what position you play. Because let's be real, if you're a linebacker, it's probably going to be Mario Cristobal, Dan Lanning, Pete Golding, maybe Kirby Smart. If you are a quarterback, like you said, probably going to be a little bit different. Like, you want different messaging as to what's going to motivate you and how you're going to be able to get things turned around. Doug in Moundville wants to chime in. He's on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in, Doug.
Hey, guys. If we're going to eulogize Alabama's football season, I guess I would have to say I'm satisfied with where we ended up. Making it to the quarterfinals in the Rose Bowl after losing to Florida State. I thought we would end up in the Liberty Bowl after something like that. So I'm pleased we made it as far as we did. I know, losing to Indiana, by a massive amount is disappointing, but I thought this season was successful. I would have taken it before the season, especially after the Florida State loss. Next season, I hope we build upon it, rebuild the offensive line. We can't be one-dimensional next year. So I'm pleased where we are, and I'm excited about moving forward.
Imagine if I told folks before the season, Greg, I'm going to put you in the second round of the playoffs against Indiana. How you feel about it? I imagine a lot of people would say, yeah, I'll take it. Let's go. Feel pretty good about that one.
All day. I think when cooler heads prevail and they can move beyond the sting of the immediate. I think what stings yesterday is it feels like you're so far away from getting back to the top of the mountain. Well, need I remind you, Indiana got boat raced last year in the college football playoff. I'm talking absolutely drummed. And they kept swinging. Even from Bama's standpoint. Bama, how'd things look in the national championship game in Santa Clara? It was not fun. As someone that was there, I was as miserable as I've been watching an Alabama football game in my entire life. Like, I was miserable. It was painful. It hurt. It was the national championship. We were in Santa Clara, California. It was awful. The game was not competitive. It was just a beatdown. It stunk. It was awful. That was pretty dang demoralizing, and within 2 years, they hung up another banner. So just when you think it's, I think that was what stung the most yesterday, is it feels like you're so far away now. Like, goodness gracious, we're so far away now. Well, next year's a new year, new players, new systems, potentially new processes, better understanding from Kalen, knowing the players. Like, I'm really optimistic about what's coming. I really am, even though I don't think that's a real common sentiment right now.
No, not a ton of people are going to be there and feel that way about kind of where things are and maybe where things are headed with this football team. It was brought up a little bit earlier And it's early, and there's still time to sort of navigate this and work through this. But when you think about Ty Simpson, look at Ty Simpson right now. What do you think? What's next for Ty Simpson in your opinion?
I think ultimately he'll go pro. And doing Get Up the other day, on what day was that? How do I remember?
It's not even
Tuesday?
worth trying to figure out the day.
Is it Wednesday?
No, I think it was Tuesday. Might have been Wednesday. I don't care. Anyways, doing Get Up the other day, I had to go back through and put together all these clips of Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, and Ty Simpson. So I watched probably 80, 90 plays of each. Some of their best plays, some of the explosive passes, some of the others. And I'm telling you guys, I think once NFL scouts start to watch his tape and watch Fernando, and Fernando was amazing yesterday, did an incredible job. I think a lot of people will say he's probably the number one. Dante's probably the number two. I think the gap between those two and Ty is not as much as you might think, especially when you watch him throw in person and the velocity that can be created when they throw it. I think he's going to end up getting drafted pretty high. So I think he's going to go pro. Fully expect that. I think it's the right decision too, because even if he gets drafted mid to bottom half of the first round, as we've seen in the past, that's oftentimes better. To get drafted where Bo Nix got drafted is better than where Caleb Williams got drafted initially, right? It's now working out well with what the Bears are doing and what they've surrounded them with and the head coach they now have. But sometimes it's easier to go in the bottom half of the first round to set yourself up for success on your rookie contract. And I think right now that's probably where Ty's going to go. So I think he's going to go. I think it was a great year. I think he played phenomenally well, especially absent a run game. And I think every Bama fan should look back at Ty's season and be like, dude, where would we have been without that guy? Because he had one heck of a season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I mean, I go back to August, Greg, and you were confident he was going to win the job, but I don't think anybody was putting him in the race for the Heisman Trophy, and that he was going to have Alabama in the SEC championship game, and he was going to be doing some of the things that he did and putting up some of the numbers that he did. It wasn't. I mean, we were trying to figure out if he was going to be a good starting college quarterback, and if he was going to be able to operate the offense well. And he goes out there and throws for 3,500 yards and 28 touchdowns. So, again, ahead of expectations, I think, when you're just talking about Ty Simpson. Ed in Pelham wants to chime in on the Alabama football season. Welcome into the show, Ed.
Yeah, that would be Ted with a T.
What's up,
Noted.
Ted?
So, I have a comment and a question. People were talking about weeks ago. We're talking about firing DeBoer and get somebody else, and I'm saying out loud, what a bunch of idiots. And today, I don't know. I mean, I understand what you all have been saying this morning, but he has got to stop embarrassing us. I mean, that they did not even show up to play. It was humiliating. I feel terrible. And I've got to ask you, Greg, it just seemed to me that there wasn't a receiver open all night. Why was there no separation, or am I wrong?
No, there was very little separation. There was very little space. And it's because Alabama doesn't have a run game that anyone cares or respects. So they can play too high shell, which is really hard to throw it because the offensive line can't push anybody off the ball. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if we're looking at disappointments on the season, it's the Alabama offensive line, guys. Like, if there's one thing that's a disappointment about this team, is that you have 360-pound guys up front that can't move people. How is that possible? Like, I don't understand how that's possible. It doesn't make sense. I mean, you have road grading offensive linemen that can't road grade. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. And I think we need to evaluate the processes. How does that happen? How does that work? What can we do better? And maybe in the scheme or how we coach them, or maybe how much dang weight they're carrying. I don't know. Whatever the heck it is, playing with pad level, finding guys that are more flexible. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't care. Like, you have to be able to create balance, and against good teams, you cannot be one-dimensional. You can't. And Kalen DeBoer's in his history is not one-dimensional. Washington has 1,700-yard back in Dylan Johnson, who ran like a man possessed at times and ran a little bit, frankly, like those Indiana running backs. So they need to evaluate the running back room big time. They need to evaluate the offensive line. Why is it they can't move people? How do we get them to move people? They need to evaluate the tempo that they play with. Frankly, I think standing over the ball and making all these checks and adjustments and tweaks and things like that, I think it does you more disservice than it does help you at times. Like, trying to get the perfect play is great, but the offensive line's already tired before they even fire off the ball. So I just think there's a lot of evaluating that needs to be done this offseason. I love Kalen DeBoer, guys. I think he's legit. I mean, this is a Michigan team that literally was willing to almost wait for him through this game and give him a blank check. Like, he's the real deal. And he'll get it right, I have no doubt. I have all the faith in the world, but there were shortcomings on this team that are going to get exposed in the biggest possible way on the biggest possible stage against the best competition. And it did. Against Georgia, against Indiana, it got completely exposed. So I think there's a lot of learning that can be done this offseason and adjusting that can be done. And I think they also need to go and get better players, frankly. Like, you can go get the 5-star guys all you want, but if they can't move people off the line of scrimmage, I don't want them. I think that's something they got to look at as well.
But you said better players, not more talented players, and there's a big difference there. Crimson Convict would like to chime in on the Alabama season. Welcome into the show.
Hey, good morning, guys. John, good New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, thank you. Greg, you already know where I sit on this. Yes, it was successful. I mean, my goal for this team from day one was playoffs +1. As long as they're making – and let me ask you something. The team that should be disappointed, I would think, is Ohio State because they're mirror images. Alabama and Ohio State are mirror images. Both of them went to their championship game. Both of them lost their championship game. Both of them got bounced in the in the second round. And arguably, we did it with a far less talented roster than they did. Am I wrong on that?
I would much rather have Ohio State's roster than Alabama's roster right now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, guys, if y'all are going to sit back and say that this was unsuccessful, and everybody knows my reputation on here, I've been a huge critic of DeBoer at times. But I'm willing to give the man the benefit of the doubt. Now, I want to see progress next year. I mean, it's going to be his third year. He's finally going to have his talent to implement his style of play, what he wants to do. And I'm interested to see what happens. I mean, the guy took over the portal killed us the first year, absolutely decimated us. And then he comes back in his second year, takes a L that he shouldn't have taken at the first of the year, runs the table with one loss, gets in, avenges our loss to Oklahoma on the road in a hostile environment. And, yeah, we lost to the number one team. I don't think we showed up. It was disappointing. I feel like their body language showed that they quit at times. That does disappoint me. But overall, guys, I'm satisfied. And I'm looking forward to next year. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the call. So some folks on multiple sides of where they are as far as this Alabama season, Alabama team is concerned. There's obviously things that can be cleaned up regardless. I mean, you could look at a lot of some of the things you brought up yesterday, Greg, offensive linemen, just the lack of finish, the lack of movement, being able to impose your will. One thing that I noticed, like you mentioned, separation from the Alabama receivers to the Indiana DBs, almost the opposite from the Alabama secondary, the inability to use their hands in the secondary. I don't know if there was like a rule that was instated internally of not being able to touch receivers at the line of scrimmage, but I saw almost no rerouting. I saw almost no jamming of receivers at the line of scrimmage. There was way too much free release for the Indiana receivers to be able to find that space and get open down the field. Those are things that you can find guys that are better at or more willing to do, and it doesn't have to be a 5-star guy to come in and do it. And I agree with Crimson Convict just now saying still a little bit early in the Kalen DeBoer tenure. See if he can go find some of those guys that can do the things that we're referencing on a more consistent basis? Because I would have confidence that he can. And we'll see, just how long it might take him to do that. It shouldn't take you long to figure out, though, where you need to go if you need some jewelry, GMAC, and that should be Bromberg's.
Yeah, I mean, Bromberg's been serving this community for nearly 200 years. They continue to deliver the highest quality and the best experience. I've been shopping there forever. I know you guys will feel the exact same way when you walk in the door. They're right there in Mountain Brook Village. They're right there in the Summit. And there's a reason why Bromberg's has been around for nearly 200 years. There's a reason why people continue to go back for generations and generations for luxury timepieces, high-end jewelry, even one-of-a-kind jewelry in some cases. So go and check out Bromberg's. They're amazing. You'll love them. You'll love the experience. They're right there in Mountain Brook Village. They're also up at the Summit. You can always check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue discussing this Alabama football season, your reaction to it, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Text into the show as well, 205-834-9450. We'll continue hearing from you after this on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Listen online, jocksfm.com. The app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. We're going to continue talking the Alabama football season and college football playoff here in just a moment. You can watch us live on YouTube each and every day. Search Jocks 945 or tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. 5 years in a row, they've brought home the title. They've won it 8 times overall. I would imagine 2026, as we've now entered into a new year, I think they're in prime position to bring home number 6. Just take the short drive to Coleman. Go see Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager. You'll see what I'm talking about. Go get yourself a GMC Sierra 2500. 4-wheel drive, Denali Ultimate. This is just a ridiculously nice vehicle. $97,500 is the list price. You can take $12,000 off the sticker, get it for $85,500. It's deals like that that keep people coming back. There's a reason why 75% of their business is repeat customers, because they have a better experience when they shop at Bill Smith. Drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online. Have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, so a lot that we still need to unpack from this Alabama football season and everything that goes along with it. But a lot of folks, Greg, are not going to be happy, not going to be satisfied with how this went and where they ended up. What can you take away, though, from maybe what we learned about Kalen DeBoer in his tenure, his staff, and what they implemented, what they did, what they accomplished this year that should give some Alabama fans some confidence rolling into next year and maybe even further past that?
Well, they found ways to win. I mean, I think they willed their way to victory multiple times. The coaching staff, that is. I mean, the Georgia game is a highlight, obviously, with how the coaching staff performed in that game. I would say the way they started the Auburn game, the way they finished the Oklahoma game, I thought there were some really the way they played, the way they finished the Vanderbilt game, the way they started against Missouri. I think that, like, the big thing that I learned this year is that, man, like, when they're going, they can go, right? I mean, goodness gracious, like, when they're ripping. And I thought they created a lot of advantages this year with what they did on 4th down, what they did in 2-minute operations at the end of half. I mean, how many games did Alabama need points at the end of half that ultimately ended up being maybe the deciding points of the game? I mean, there's a couple of those. I thought the defense was really opportunistic. I think the defense has some things to tighten up for sure, but really opportunistic at times. I mean, the Tennessee pick 6, enormous. The strip sack of Diego Pavia there to avoid going down 2 scores, or the strip on the quarterback run. I mean, there's so many great moments this year by Kalen and the players. The only unfortunate thing is there were some real down moments too. I mean, the FSU game, tough watch. First 20 minutes of the Oklahoma game in the playoff, tough watch. The entire SEC championship game, tough watch. And then when they didn't thread the needle, when they didn't pick up the critical 4th and 1, when Kalen rolled the dice, it didn't work out for him sometimes. You know, that was also tough as well. But I think all in all, there's so much to take away that's positive from this season. Because like I've said from the get-go, based on the personnel, based on the injuries, based on some of the guys that were in and out of the lineup, based on how one-dimensional they were, to get to the second round of the playoff is pretty remarkable.
I would agree with you. And I understand. I do take into consideration the expectation. National championships are expected, but also, you know, keep in mind, we kind of talked about this before the game a little bit last night, Greg, when we were in the ESPN green room. I was sitting with Roman and Jordan while you were getting your makeup done. Well, I mean, were you or were you not?
I had to. I was told to get makeup at a specific time and went and got makeup.
I'm just letting the folks know. I'm not.
Why are you hating?
I'm trying to paint the picture for people behind the scenes. I mean, it was a busy weekend for you. You're doing get up. You're getting your makeup done. You're giving away awards. Like it's you're calling games. There's a lot going on for you. So
I also
you're driving to hunting camps. I also did it at halftime. I also did it at halftime of the Bama game. I feel like you should be impressed with how I formatted my schedule. I am beyond impressed with how you formatted your schedule. But you've gone. You went from an era of mental emotional and physical domination. And that era of college football allowed for that. And it's early. We still don't know exactly what the portal era is going to be and how you truly have to have sustained success or what it takes to have continued success. But it doesn't necessarily feel like you're going to be able to build your teams like that anymore. So I think trying to sort of find your identity with still a little bit of crossover, because let's answer the question in reality here. Are there players on this team that played for Nick Saban?
Yes.
Okay. So you're still taking guys from an era that won games a certain way the majority of the time, and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to win games like that now, at least not consistently. So you have to kind of find your way. And for me, I would say that means probably allow for just a tad more patience and a tad more understanding of you got to go figure out how you're going to build your team every year. Like, it feels like a guy like Kirk Cignetti's kind of got it figured out. Now, is he going to be able to keep doing what he's doing for 5 more, 8 more, 12 more years? That's going to be tough, but hell, maybe the guy's got the secret sauce. Maybe he knows the ingredients that nobody else knows. We'll find out. But you're not going to be able to build Alabama football teams the way they've been built for the last decade. So some of that's going to take some navigating. And by the way, it's not just them. I mean, Kirby Smart. When was the last time outside of this season that Ole Miss and Georgia played that Georgia did not physically have a very strong upper hand physically?
That'd be never.
Yeah. Probably not a single other time ever. And even when Ole Miss won the game or was competitive in the game, kind of like what you said about last night, it wasn't because of physicality. Now, last night matched it to an extent. Portions of it were on the same page, but Georgia's not what they were 5 years ago, 8 years ago, where physically you just can't match up, so therefore you have to do all these other things to circumvent that. My point is that this Alabama team – they still have to find out how they're going to build each and every year. And a lot of teams are like that right now. A lot of teams are trying to figure that out. And sometimes it might be a 4 or 5 year build to just get to what Mario Cristobal has this year, and then it's going to take another 4 or 5 year build to be able to do it again. And it looks like Ohio State has a certain semblance of sustainability, but last year, did people think that after the Michigan game? Absolutely not. Are people thinking that after the Miami game this year? Probably not. But that to me is maybe the bigger portion of the conversation is how we define success moving forward. Because winning all these playoff games is going to be very different. You're going to have to be built different. You're going to have teams that play different, because you're just going to have to sustain and you're going to have to last through different points of adversity, as opposed to 2 playoff games or 1 bowl game in which one of the 2 polls may vote you as the national champion. This is a different deal, man. And not everybody's going to have it figured out for a while. And even when you get it figured out, it might change again, and you have to sort of reinvent that again. So
yeah,
you're going to have it's like, I mean, I know it's on a little bit of a different scale, but the Tennessee fans' frustration around the Music City Bowl this year. Now, I'm not even talking about losing that game or how you lost that game, but what did we sit here and say when they were all celebrating Josh Heupel and the Tennessee administration for telling Nico to kick rocks? I mean, we all said it. We were all happy about it.
Ready to take the good in with the bad.
There you go. We were all proud of it. We thought it was really cool that they did that. But parentheses, you might win 7 or 8 this year, and that'd still be a good year. And all of a sudden now that's not acceptable. And all of a sudden now people want to talk about, oh, Josh might not be the guy, or Josh needs to get this figured out. When your ceiling was way up here with that quarterback talent. And, I mean, listen, I think Joey Aguilar had a great year. He did things that we weren't sure he was capable of this year. But your ceiling went down drastically when he took over at quarterback. That's just the physical God-given ability reality of it all. It just is. Now, did the defense let him down at times? Yes. Did some injuries catch up with them in certain spots? DB, linebacker, yes. Maybe even tight end late, yes. But you plugged in some OL that did some good things. You had running backs that exceeded expectations. You just didn't have the depth in certain spots, and it wasn't exactly what you wanted. But that's another example I'd point to and say just like our whole judgment process of good year, bad year, great year, terrible year, it's still clouded right now. And this Alabama season, I mean, you got to the playoffs and won a game in the playoff. By the way, on the road, by the way, not a neutral site game. You won a playoff game in that opponent's venue. There's a lot of good that needs to be taken away from that, and I just don't know when people are going to be able to grasp that reality or if they ever will at all. But times haven't changed here in college football. We'll discuss more of it next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:39, Friday, January 2nd, right here on Jocks. Transfer portal opened up at midnight. It's full already. They're going to need some extra space, more cups, more buckets, more rooms, more doors. But some notable names: Preston Howard, Auburn tight end, has entered the transfer portal. Jacoby Jackson, Florida running back, has entered the transfer portal. Richard Young, Alabama running back, has entered the transfer portal. There are a lot of names, not quite as many that are extremely notable. I think there are some high-profile players that are going to be going in that we have heard either rumors about or they've announced that they'll be entering but just officially haven't put their name in just yet. Taylor Tatum, running back for Oklahoma, who apparently was ESPN's #1 running back in the 2024 class. He is in the transfer portal. South Alabama tackle Jordan Davis in the transfer portal. UAB interior offensive lineman Peyton Kirkland is in the transfer portal. So we'll keep you posted on the latest. It's too many to just go through in and of itself because there's, I think, closing in on 2,000 players already in the transfer portal. Wild to think about just the amount of players, Greg, and then just from a quarterback perspective, what we have at least heard about is going to be going in the transfer portal in this cycle.
Yeah, and the reason why I think a lot of people just need to understand why. Like this one, and this is not like being radio hot take guy. Y'all have heard us for a while. If anything, we try to downplay the build up to the portal. Like all of us are like, this is going to be the craziest portal season ever. Like we don't play that game. We're not in the business of manufacturing clicks on the recruiting service sites like that. Like we don't get paid to drive traffic there. But I can honestly tell you, I do believe, in talking to people that are in the world, they think this has a chance to be one of the craziest, if not the craziest, because now you have a lot of teams that front-loaded their NIL prior to the June 30th number. They still have not fully resourced the College Sports Commission, so the, quote, authentic NIL deals are, you can get them through maybe a little easier now than you might be able to get them through here in a couple years. And you can also look at some of the litigation that's going on there too. So you basically took what was $20 million rosters and you added the rev share on top of 13.5. So now all these rosters are going from 20 to 33.5. And a lot of teams, because they front loaded, now have a ton of extra room to go and make plays in the portal. Now there are some challenges because a lot of guys' contracts were June to June or July to June. Now they're having to kind of buy guys out. Now their contracts will go from January to January because of now how the portal window is going to work. But it has a chance to be a really big one and a really lucrative one for the players that want to go in.
Yeah, it feels like, and again, I don't know if there's any way for us to truly know if this will be the last one where the silly money is thrown at all these guys. I do know that some of the patience with handing over money for guys in the portal at a lot of places, not just a couple of places, but a lot of places, is growing increasingly thin. So maybe this is something that just fluctuates where it's an Oregon for a year or two, a Texas Tech for a year or two, and then those guys get worn out. And then Miami steps up a little bit more. And then Alabama finds a way to be there for a year or two. I don't know where it's going to go, how it's going to react. I do know that this whole, like, it's just going to be revenue sharing, that doesn't feel like it's going to be real. Some people might try to just play that game. So other people may never try to play that game. But there's still a little bit of an unknown of exactly how much is going to be going out from how many different people, from how many different places. We just don't know what that's going to look like moving forward. But the portal is busy here early on. In transfer portal season, because we know guys are going to enter, and we know that there's going to be some big names that are going in. What that might look like for Alabama, Auburn, some other teams, as we've seen some big names announce that they're going to be entering the portal from Auburn, that'll be yet to be determined. But the good news is if you got guys going in, it looks like there's going to be a lot of talented guys that are in that you can potentially pull out to be able to help your roster. So we'll see exactly what that looks like and kind of where that goes. College football games coming up today. College football playoff matchups that we have down the road. Haven't spent a ton of time on those. Are you excited about what's next in the next round, G-Mac, just from a matchup perspective?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm real excited about it. I mean, it's a lot of new bloods, you know, which is just kind of interesting. With 3 of the 4 teams without having some historically significant success as far as like national championship participation. Miami being the one team that's been there regularly. I know Ole Miss has championship or 2, but it's been a minute. I know Oregon's been, but it's never won. I think it's just an interesting collection of teams, and I do like the matchups. And we've already seen the Oregon-Indiana game. We know that game well, but now we get the opportunity to see another super physical Miami team taking on Ole Miss. Like I like that matchup a lot as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, specifically with a little bit of what we got from Ole Miss yesterday. And I think there are parts of that team that we need to discuss moving forward about what they may be, what they may look like, and we'll do all that next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 8:48 Friday, January 2nd, right here on Jocks. Indiana takes out Alabama 38-3 in the Rose Bowl. Your thoughts on that? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can also tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Let us know your thoughts there. You can also text into the show if you would like to be a part of the show there. 205-834-9450. So when we look at just kind of how that game went about yesterday, Greg, what was your biggest takeaway about Indiana that maybe altered your opinion of them winning more games, winning a national title? I mean, I think they showed pretty much who they are. You and I have talked about them for what they are. I mean, there's a reason I picked this team to win this playoff. It's because of the level of execution really across the board that they offer up. But what did you maybe notice a little bit different about Indiana with how they performed against Alabama yesterday?
You know, the one thing I was a little surprised with was how well they were able to contest throws. And then when you watch them, I haven't had a chance to watch the tape yet. I'm like desperate to watch it. I just don't even know how to feel. I mean, I watched the TV copy and that was it. But I was amazed at how little space there was in the secondary. But then again, I mean, if you're able to play two shell with two high safeties and play defend, and feel confident about stopping the run with a light box and feel confident about, you know, being able to win and pressure and not have to void some zones. Like, it's tough to move the football. I think that was probably my biggest surprise. I just thought Alabama would have a little more in the passing game. Like I guess on the podcast, I picked Indiana to win the game. I picked Alabama to cover. I thought Bama would be able to move it a little better. I thought Indiana's offense would have some success, but it wouldn't be just a rough shot, right? Like I didn't expect them to run for 200 plus. I also didn't expect them to have 50 carries either. So a lot of that I think was just, I thought Bama's defense would play a little better. I thought they'd be a little stouter against the run, but they were put in some tough situations on their own side of the 50. Sudden change, end of half. Like all the slim margins that Alabama has taken advantage of, fourth down conversions, end of half situations, winning the first four of halftime, it just didn't materialize in this game. Indiana won all those, and that's why the game went the way it went.
I'll tell you two things I noticed from the Indiana offense. Obviously, I think you know where this is going to go initially. I mentioned earlier that offensive line played well. Two things stuck out here with that offensive line. One, hat placement. Two, strain. So when I say hat placement, if we're running the ball to the right, when you engage a defensive lineman or a linebacker, you want your hat to be to the right of that defender's hat. I would say 8 out of 10 plays, the initial hat placement, hand placement, you would mark it as a win for the Indiana offensive line. You would say technically, fundamentally, it's where it needs to be. And then there would be times when initially we didn't get our hat across yours or we didn't get our hat play side. The strain would then allow it to either be play side at some time during that play or the continued strain backside of that defender through the end of the play would oftentimes allow for extra yards. So with just watching that group operate, and listen, there were some poor fits by the Alabama defenders. There were some, I don't want to say guesses, but maybe some aggressive plays underneath blocks, trying to maybe jump a gap and make a play. That happened a couple of times. I don't think it was egregious by any stretch of the imagination. There was some attempted attacking of blocks that were probably not technically and fundamentally exactly what Alabama defenders are asked to do. But it also goes back to what you mentioned about those backs, Greg. Shoulder square, finishing north and south. I think the most impressive part about the Indiana run game is the backs seemingly having a great understanding of where the play should or most likely will end up, where they need to be in a run play. And we see a lot of running backs just take the ball and go. And, man, I'll tell you this, this is a little bit of a sidebar, and I know you saw it from a different vantage point because you were higher. The film does not do Keywan Lacey's lateral quickness justice. I can tell you watching him from field level last night, when he decides to go left or right, it's unbelievable. Press the line, bam, go left. And that's why he was able to get outside on some of those runs. Now, there were a couple contain issues from the Georgia defense, but his lateral agility and quickness, film does not do that justice. I'm just telling you, being down there, Greg. It was unbelievable how quickly he can go from third gear to sixth gear, east and west, then north and south. It was very impressive to watch at field level last night. And the Indiana backs have a little bit of that too, where it's not always, hey, take the ball and go hit your head on the goalpost. It's a little bit of patience, understanding of how the play is going to develop, and then finishing forward, shoulder square, head down, feet churning. And that's I think I heard Herbie mention this on the broadcast. One thing that he loved about the Indiana offense is how efficient they are on first down and how they're living in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 5, and almost never really behind the chains. And some of these runs are the reason why. The strain from the offensive line is a big reason why. The backs keeping their shoulder square, finishing forward is a reason why. And you just think about the advantages that brings your offense of not being in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9 a very consistent amount of the time.
I mean, all the time. I mean, it's enormous. I mean, to know that you're not in obvious passing situations to stay on schedule. I mean, how often were they behind the sticks and then they made it 3rd and manageable? I mean, there was a handful of those. Like, Bama would win first down and lose second down. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like, goodness gracious. I mean, just when you thought you had a moment, oh, they get a holding penalty. Goodness gracious, finally. A drive stalling holding penalty. And then Mendoza throws like a corner that's perfectly timed and executed for a conversion on 2nd and 20. It's like, what the heck? That's not supposed to happen, you know? I mean, he is really precise. That they can run it right at you. I love their backs. You're 100% right. Like, their backs are unreal. Like, I want to find backs like that badly, because they don't care. Like, they run behind their pads. They hit the hole at 1,000 miles an hour. Meanwhile, with Alabama, sometimes, I mean, the guys are dancing in the backfield. I mean, Kevin Riley's dancing in the backfield. Like, I mean, it's just hit it hard. You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's a lot to learn from that tape, and a lot that I think can be applied to other places.
Well, it's like you said about not caring. I think to be this kind of a back that Indiana has, you have to be okay with a 4-yard run. And I can remember Sark talking about Najee Harris like this, and I remember I asked Sark, I was like, when he was at Bama, I was like, how did you help him improve his vision? He's like, it's not that. He said, it's his mentality. And he said, we spent an entire offseason telling him, hey, man, 5 yards is okay. 6-7 yards is really good. We don't need a touchdown on every play, because getting 4, getting 6, getting 8, getting 3, that's what's going to lead to the touchdowns. But you have to get those first. Like, you can't bounce everything thinking you're going to outrun everybody and score a touchdown on every play. And he got to that his final season at Alabama, and that's what the Indiana running backs, I feel like, are so good at. We'll get to your calls and texts next right here.